Okay, guys, I am not the same person today as I was yesterday. That this battle right here has forever changed me for how amazing it is. Like, if you need to watch this fan fries if you already haven't. Last resort Porygon Z sweep does not disappoint. I mean, I was like, okay, Porygon Z's got the last resort. How much damage could it? Oh. It's one-shotting Conkeldurr. It's one-shotting Malamar. It's putting out more damage than I would ever expect the Porygon Z to do. That's because of the adaptability ability. But then in the video, I was even making like thoughts like, wait, is this the highest damage last resort in the game? Is this the most powerful? Like, is it stronger than Lopunny? Is it stronger than Ambipom? Where's this damage coming from? And would a physical Porygon Z even be like a possible thought for something that's super ridiculous? And it broke me. So the idea was you set up Tailwind, and then Porygon Z does Last Resort things, and you can watch the video to find out more. But I mean, that's an almost full health Mawile getting one shot after a crit. I know the crit mattered in this case, but that's still ridiculous because it was a resisted hit, and Mawile gains defenses when Mega Evolving. So this battle broke me and forever changed me, and then I go and talk for like a minute about how ridiculous it is. But there were some comments saying like, oh no, Diggersby is the highest damage. Oh no, Ursaring is the highest damage. Let's go and put that to the test. Now, we also have to think about competitive viability here, because if you're using a non-Scarf Diggersby, you're going to get run over, but at the same time, the damage here is pretty insane. So I've already ran the numbers, and I'm not going to put them up on screen, but I had like a calculator and stuff. So Diggersby, it has the 232 with an Adamant Nature. All these are factoring in Adamant Nature unless otherwise stated. So you're doubling that off your pure power, which means you're going to have 464, and then we're just going to do our usual stuff. It has to be Life Orb. Can't use Choice Band with Last Resort because you have to protect in the Life Orb, or with Diggersby, potentially like set up an Agility. Now, Agility setup without the Life Orb is still going to be very powerful. So, like, say you go Focus Sash Agility Last Resort Diggersby. You can do that. That's going to give you 97,444 power. So pretty much I'm just multiplying the numbers together. If you had that Life Orb, though, it gives you 126,000 points. That's a lot. So Diggersby is rocking a very powerful Last Resort. But then we get into some really fun stuff because the Lopunny and Ambipom mix-up is actually where it's at. So the interesting thing about Mega Lopunny is it's the fastest Last Resort user. It's going to be one of the most reliable Last Resort users as well. But at the same time, even if you run an Adamant Nature Mega Lopunny, you're doing more damage than Ambipom with a Jolly Life Orb. And you're also going to be faster. So here's the thing. If you give up your Mega Slot, you're getting a scrappy, more efficient Last Resort. And this is one thing I think I mentioned in a video or a battle, but I wanted to like really put this information out there. Like, I praise the Ambipom because Ambipom's great to use. And mostly I use it because no one else uses it. You get beat up, you get one shot by an Ambipom, you're going to feel it. You get one shot by a Lopunny, might have been expected, you know. And with the scrappy ability, that means the biggest problem with Ambipom, Ghosts, goes away. So you fake out Last Resort with the Ambipom, or with the Lopunny, and almost nothing can survive that. So it's going to be more damage than Life Orb Ambipom by a very small amount. Also, you're outspeeding by like 8 points of speed, and you're getting like 10 more points of damage. But it kind of shows that you still be one of the very fastest Pokemon with a high amounts of damage. And Lopunny can even do some weird stuff. Like, I've theory crafted on the fake out high jump kick Last Resort. The idea about this is that if they have Steel-type Pokemon, if they have Rock-type Pokemon, you always have that as an option. So you fake out High Jump Kick. That's just destroying whatever your opponent is going to lead with because you get the scrappy fighting stab and it's just way too much damage anyways. And then you have the Last Resort option for not having to worry. You know, 90% accuracy, could lose half your health. Not fun stuff right there. And Last Resort is technically a bit more damage, gets a little bit more stab, gets to hit just a bit more harder. So you will secure KOs on that. And this Lopunny is kind of crazy to think about. So there's the theory crafting right there. But when it comes to Lopunny's damage numbers, so Lopunny is going to actually not sound that insane compared to Diggersby. Diggersby, without an item, could potentially throw out a 97,000 power one. When we look at the Lopunny, Lopunny's is only going to be 85,680. But remember, we're not having any kind of like craziness because Diggersby, though, is going to have crazy amounts of attacks. 232... Getting doubled is going to be a larger number than 408, and then like stab on a 210 base power move makes it a lot ahead. But again, Lopunny is going to be faster in that situation, and it doesn't have to rely on the agility setup. Even then, like agility into the Diggersby is going to be better, so you can use that item focus sash advantage to technically become a stronger, faster Lopunny with less damage. So as you can see, the mechanics here are getting crazy. And also, someone for Fan Fridays, if you give me a Diggersby sweep in single battles where you go and use this focus sash agility, like you lead with Diggersby and you just dunk on everything, please, don't hesitate. Like, just an agility last resort. That works out pretty well. Also, we saw the Stoutland. Now, Stoutland's damage kind of falls flat compared to Ursaring. So let's go and pull up Ursaring, if I can actually get everything, lined up. So Ursaring is going to be a huge powerhouse as well. Now with Ursaring, it is the slowest, and it doesn't have agility or it doesn't have anything like that. So say we're cutting out speed. Remember, Diggersby has a really ridiculous amount. Well, Ursaring gets the Guts ability, and if you protect Last Resort, that's just going to work out really well because you have your Flame Orb or your Toxic Orb, and you automatically proc Guts, and then you just go into that. So in doubles, it's actually going to be very similar to this Porygon Z. You have a Tailwind support. You have a way of getting speed into this Ursaring. Maybe even Trick Room on Ursaring since it would last longer than Tailwind. And then now you have a 394 attack Pokemon throwing out the Last Resort and bringing in some crazy stuff. So those numbers are going to come out to 124,000. So you're going to be slower than Diggersby, doing less damage than if you were a Life Orb Diggersby on the Ursaring. So Ursaring, while it was worth consideration for having a very high attack into the Guts and like all kinds of damage boosting, it's not the best. Like Diggersby still has the damage. But let's look at Porygon Z. Time to take out the bad boy that changed my life. So Porygon Z's damage is actually kind of interesting because when we look at the Ambipom, we know the Ambipom hurts. Now the Ambipom is going to have 100 on that base attack, and one of the things that I was wondering in the videos, I didn't know Porygon's base attack off the top of my head. It's a special attacker is what your first thought is going to be about the Porygon Z, but at the same time, you know, it's 80 base attack, so it's not far off of the Ambipom, and we might be able to go Adamant. So even if it is a Jolly Nature Porygon, it's still putting out ridiculously unsuspecting amount of damage compared to the Ambipom. We can run that Adamant with the Tailwind set because we're not going for like super speedy, sweepy kind of idea. And it just kind of shows that it's a closer similarity right here. But really what starts to put the Porygon over the edge is that Porygon Z gets the Adaptability ability. And that's kind of where this changes around. Adaptability is going to make it to where Stab does 2 times instead of 1.5 times. And then that's just going to keep multiplying the numbers from there. So now instead of dealing with a 210 base power after Stab, we're ending up with a 280 base power, and then those extra 70 points are also going to be factoring in with our Life Orb, and that is going to go and give our Porygon Z a grand total of a 103,000 power move. So even say if it was a Jolly Nature Porygon Z, it's actually only going to cut that damage by about 10%, so it's going to be more damage than the Lopunny. More damage than the Ambipom, which is why we were finding these crazy KOs, which is something that's really wild to think about. That the Porygon Z damage, while it isn't as high as the Diggersby, it's going to be faster than Diggersby, it's going to be more reliable, so it's not the highest damage Last Resort, but it's one of the most unsuspecting. I would have to say that for sure. The Diggersby does open up some new possibilities that I discovered with this video, but when you look at the Porygon Z, yeah, it's actually a harder hitting Lopunny. If you get on that Tailwind, it's going to be very fast. It gets to do a lot of other just really crazy things on that Last Resort. Now, each of these Pokemon featured have their own things. Lopunny's Get Up and Go, and it has Scrappy. Ursaring, I think, might be the worst we may feature in the video. Diggersby does need that setup, but Porygon Z, it's a very powerful Last Resort because of that adaptability, and it gets to just destroy whatever it wants. It can one-shot things that Lopunny can't one-shot. It can one-shot things that Ambipom can't one-shot. That's definitely worth the considerations. And then I guess to finish this video, let's talk about some theory crafting and overall, because what I did was I took the just most obviously overpowered Pokemon, you know, the ones that are easy to understand, Get Up and Go, normal type for the Stab on the Last Resort. They can combo it out pretty well, because I mean, you can do some really crazy things. We've seen Eevee sweep on that Last Resort. We've seen Stoutland get a lot out of that Last Resort as well, because I mean, it gets that Sand Rush ability, so you put in a Sandstorm, and then now you have a 110 attack Pokemon with that Life Orb pumping out massive amounts of damage. The damages are there, especially, like, the thing you have to just pay into consideration is making sure you don't get outsped, but Diggersby is looking like a top performer. Also, I forgot about Sylveon. Oh, that's actually a pretty bad one. Let me go and pull out the calculator, because Sylveon's going to get that Pixelate, so you could technically Pixelate that Last Resort. 65 attacks, so that means we're going to take 251. Now again, it is a slow Pokemon, so we do have to take consideration of that. So I have the calculator up. I don't think it's showing on screen, so you'll see my thing move around. So we have 251. That's going to be times 1.5 for the Stab on the Last Resort, then 1.5 on the or 1.3 on the Pixelate, and then we're also going to get another 1.5 out of, or 1.3 out of Life Orb, and then 210, or not 210. We already factored that. So then 140 on the Last Resort. And I think that's going to give us 89,000. So it's going to hit. It's not going to hit as hard as the Porygon. See, that's like the drop off on the attack right there. So Last Resort Sylveon has potential. It's going to hit harder than Lopunny. So that's the amount of damage that you'll see coming out of this Pokemon. So, I mean, also you can, like, tech Last Resort. A 140 base power move is going to be stronger than a lot of other moves that are either super effective or something like that. Or it's going to be very, very close on that. So you might be able to tech in Last Resort. Any kind of normal Pokemon can use it. Any kind of crazy Psych Up or Setup does give those opportunities. I was thinking about Linoon. Like, what if you have Linoon survive to the point where it can belly drum? Like, you go max hit point investment, max speed, and then you belly drum. Well, the belly drum is going to maximize your attack anyways, and then you just belly drum Last Resort. That could work out in Linoon. Only 100 base speed, though, so you are going to be susceptible to getting outsped by things. But the idea about max hit point investment is that you survive their hit with, like, your 75% hit points left, and then you do something about that. So overall, you know, there's a lot of different ways of playing the Last Resort. A lot of very powerful potential Pokemon. I love the idea of the move ever since I started using it on Ambipom, started seeing it on the Lopunny. Like, it does things, and you should really try to check it out just a bit and send it for Fan Fridays, and it might get some features. Now, don't try to stack them. Like, if I feature a Last Resort on Fan Fridays, I might wait another Fan Friday so it doesn't get too samey. But, man, that blew me away on the Porygon Z, and I want to see if Diggersby is even more reliable and maybe even one of the hardest sweeping Pokemon that we've never seen. Because about Diggersby didn't get it until the tutor. These Pokemon right here are tutor only, but Diggersby, we didn't know about it until Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I think people might have just forgot about Diggersby and even its moves that it gets. So this might be the hidden OP right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. I think this was really fun, and I hope you all have a nice day as well.